Okay, Chair Robinson.
So are we ready?
Yes, we are ready.
Okay. I'm just going to turn up my volume. I can't really hear you very well. Okay, I'm going to start my video. Hi, everyone.
Hello, Madam Chair.
I'm back.
Hello, Madam
Welcome
Chair.
back.
Yeah,
Well,
partially back.
I don't know whether welcome you
Anyway,
back. It's my
hello
first
to
meeting.
everyone, and I understand we have quorums, so I am going to call the meeting of 2048 of the Toronto Transit Commission Board to order. I'm so happy to be here today. I can't even tell you. It's been a long and tough road, and while I'm not quite at the end, I'm very close, and I feel very fortunate to be here. And I've got a tilt issue here with my iPad. I don't know if other councillors suffer from this tilting, but the stand is a bit wobbly.
Welcome to the world of virtual meetings, Madam Chair.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're more experienced than I. So I just want to start by thanking every member of the TTC board for your support during this tough, difficult time. Your frequent notes and kind words have meant the world to me, and I'm so grateful for them. So thank you very much. I particularly want to thank Vice Chair De Laurentiis. I cannot thank you enough for stepping up and acting as acting chair, and for your continued and unwavering support. So thank you very much, Joanne. Also, although he's no longer on the board, I would like to thank Al Heisey for serving as acting chair also in the months following my diagnosis. And of course, our fearless leader, Rick, thank you for your steadfast leadership of this organization through the most tumultuous times we've ever experienced in our lives. You know, we're dealing with uncharted waters and unprecedented issues, and you've been honestly beyond belief so strong and demonstrated so much leadership through this time. And so I really, Rick, want to say to you, thank you so much for keeping me up to date through this past year and all your regular calls. I looked forward to them. Even in your busiest weeks, you reached out to me, consulted with me, and kept me informed. So Rick, thank you very much. And I know we worked very well together during the onset of COVID, and I look forward to more of that. I also want to thank Mayor Tory for his continued support and assisting whenever needed. He was always there to step in. We as a board have many challenges ahead. There's no question. The pandemic has put immense pressure on our organization, and with the case counts on the rise, we're nowhere even close to being out of the woods. So I want to thank all of you for what you've done and what you will do as we're about to foray into the budget process, which is never easy. So I look forward to working with all of you collaboratively on that. Sorry. I also want to thank each and every TTC employee, from our frontline operators to our communications team, and from our maintenance crews to transit control, for your hard work and commitment to Toronto, keeping us moving day in and day out. So everybody knows this, and if you don't, you should, that the TTC is the backbone of Toronto, and we play a very important role in day-to-day operations of the city, but also in the role of the city's recovery, which is still before us. On that note, I would also like to welcome our newest commissioner, Councillor Lai. Welcome to the TTC board. We are very happy to have you on board, Cynthia. So you may have noticed virtually that our Vice Chair De Laurentiis is actually at the TTC headquarters, and she will actually chair the remaining of the meeting. Thank you very much again. I'm going to pass the gavel virtually over to you now to take us through the order paper.
Well, thank you, Vice Chair, and let me add my congratulations to have you back. I can't wait to have you fully back in this chair. It's a lot harder than it looks, let me tell you. So I really look forward to having you back, but it's good to have you here with us today. And I also would like to welcome Commissioner Lai. You're going to have a lot of fun. This is a great board, and as our chair said, TTC is the backbone of Toronto, so it's a real privilege, I think, for all of us to be sitting on this board. So with that, let's get started. And
Sorry, Madam Chair,
yes,
it's Denzelman and Wong talking. I just, not only did I want to thank Cynthia, but I did want to recognize that the board has actually changed materially from this meeting. A majority of the board are now female, which I don't think has ever happened before. So that's a good
Look
news
out.
story. So I think there's six women on the board now, which I'm not sure that there's any board or committee that sort of that has the majority of women on it. So good for council and
Lucky you.
and no, it's I think it's worthy of recognition. So I didn't want to sort of leave that without being mentioned. So thank you, Madam Chair.
thank you, Councillor. I think that's a great observation, and we all look forward to working together. I know that. Okay, so let's get to the first question. Are there any declarations of interest? Just raise your hand if there are, so we can take note. I don't see any hands up, so I think we're all in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Oh, and okay, so before we move on, I'm just being reminded we must do our land acknowledgement. So Chrisanne, I'm going to hand that over to you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. We acknowledge the land we are standing on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit.
Thank you. So first item of business then is the approval of the minutes. So I need a motion. And I see Councillor Bradford, seconder, Councillor McKelvey, all in favor? Thank you. Now, as you know, if you wish to submit a motion, we're going to go through the agenda, but if you have a question, you should email your questions and then speak on the items so I think you've got the email address for that. If you want to submit a motion on any item, please email your motion to the email address that you've been provided. And if you've got any technical troubleshooting needs, then you should also have that information. So with that, let's begin.
Madam Speaker,
Yes.
just on a point of order, I'm sorry, but I am just struggling to find. No, I found it. Sorry, I was just checking. I didn't know whether or not my staff had put it in the right account. I've got it. Thanks.
Okay, very good. So we'll start with the agenda then. I'm going to hold item 1, Chief Executive Report. I'm going to hold item 2 to hear from Chair Mazen Aribi. I'm going to hold item 3. There's an in-camera presentation. Item 4, does anybody want to hold that? I don't see any hold, so I'm going to ask for a motion to. In fact, I'm going to put a motion to adopt a staff recommendation. May I have a seconder?
I'll second.
Okay. Commissioner Lalonde, thank you. All in favor? Very good. Item 5. So I'm going to put a motion forward to adopt the staff recommendation. May I have a seconder? Commissioner Osborne, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you for that. And I'm going to now tell you who the individuals are who have been appointed to ACAT for a term starting January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2023. They are Gwyneth Dalzell, Jonathan Marriott, Lori Sue Robertson, Craig Nickel, Janice Schachter, And there are another group of people who've been appointed for a term starting January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021, and to reestablish our pool of individuals. And they are Kim Pearson, John Ray, Rhonda Solomon, Howard Wax. Join me in thanking them and congratulating them for willing to serve. Let's move to item 6. Are there any, does anyone wish to hold this item?
Sure, could you read out the item? I wonder if you could read out
sorry,
the item.
it's
Some
the
people are having to
appointment.
listen on the phone.
Okay, appointment of a TTC board member to the Audit and Risk Management Committee. Okay, I don't see any hold, so I'm going to put forward a motion to nominate Julie Osborne. And Julie, do you accept?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay, may I have a seconder, please?
I'll second. Welcome aboard, Julie.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. That's from our chair of the Audit and Risk Management Committee. All in favor? Excellent, thank you very much. Item 7, Allen Greenway improvements, new Dell Park Avenue entrance exit to Lawrence West Station. Motion, or anyone want to hold that item? So I'll move a motion to adopt the staff recommendations. May I have a seconder? Thank you, Commissioner McKelvey. All in favor? Okay, item 8, easier access design services contract, procurement amendment authorization. Anyone want to hold? Don't see any.
And Madam Chair, I wonder if I could hold that item. I
Okay.
just have to finish reading it. Thanks.
All right, very good. Next item is a communication antennas license for 5650 Yonge Street. Anyone want to hold? I don't see any, so I'll move a motion to adopt the staff recommendation. May I have a seconder? Commissioner Lai, thank you. All in favor? Excellent. Item 10, anyone want to hold financial update for the period ended October 3rd, 2020 and major projects update? Any holds on that?
Yes, please.
Yes,
Commissioner
okay.
Carey.
Item 11, accessibility of future transit stations. Anyone want to hold that one?
Madam Speaker, I don't need to hold it so much as I had a discussion with Commissioner Osborne, the mover. My only issue is we're sending this out as a request to Metrolinx. The only reason I was going to hold it was to ask if we shouldn't if we need to make clear on it that we want TTC staff to report back to us what the response was as soon as they have it. We've had a long path of moving these motions, then we never hear back, and Metrolinx is patchy in terms of response. So if that could be an undertaking, I don't have to move anything and we can adopt it now. We want to know what the response is as soon as they have it as a board.
Okay, so we take it as direction, I'm told. Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay. So will we come back to that after item 5, or shall we do it now? Okay. So let's deal with this now. There is an amendment here, a friendly amendment that I have, and I think, can you put that up on the board? And this amendment, by the way, as it's coming up, we realized when we were reviewing the motion that there was another little piece that we should have added that ACAT had set out for us, and it just, I think we had just forgotten about it, and I want to thank Mazen for reminding us that this part should be added. So you will see that it says, direct staff to request the budget for the design and, no, sorry, is that it? Am I reading? Okay. Direct staff to request the budget for the design and construction of second elevators at Finch West and Kennedy stations in a future capital budget submission. So the point here was that if we are asking Metrolinx to look at second elevators in the transfer stations, that we should hold ourselves to the same standard. So that's what this is about. So I'll move that friendly amendment, and Julie Osborne, you're okay with that?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, so Chrisanne, do we now have the group consider it as a complete motion? So, okay, were there questions, or were there questions on that at all on this motion as amended? No? Okay, so we'll call the vote then. All in favor? Excellent. Okay, that's done. And item 12.
I'd
This is-
like to hold that one for questions, Madam Chair.
Okay, very good. We'll hold that. Okay, so I think now we'll go into committee of the whole. So we have a number of items that we want to consider, and let's see, did we hold item 4 and 5? We were good. So just item 3. So we're going to recess that the board, so the motion is, or the resolution is that the board recess as the committee of the whole to consider information about labor relations or employer negotiations and litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals related to item 3 on our agenda. So all in favor? We're good. All right. So just give us a couple of minutes, and we're going to, for those members of the public who are following us, we're going to be moving into a closed session on item 3 of this agenda. We'll be back as soon as we're done, and we'll be back live at the end of the session. So thank you. And we'll be a couple of minutes just to move into that.
Yeah, so they're
Welcome back, everybody. We are going to proceed now with our public meeting, and we're going to begin with the CEO report. Over to you, Rick.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome our YouTube viewers again today, and those participants to the board's virtual meeting. And welcome back, Chair Robinson. It's been great having conversations with you, Chair, and it's even better to see you back, to be honest with you. So welcome. I look forward to the coming conversations. It's also my privilege to welcome Councillor Cynthia Lai to her first meeting as a TTC Commissioner. For those of you who are well aware, Commissioner Lai represents Ward 23, Scarborough North, and who was appointed to this board by City Council just last month. The Council and I have had a lot of great conversations as of late, and talking about the issues and challenges of within the organization, all the positive things going on. So I can tell you, well, she's got a great perspective that she's going to bring to this table. So welcome, Commissioner Lai. You know, on behalf of all TTC employees, I'd like to express thoughts for the 175 employees, as well as TTC contractors who have tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. Thankfully, over 130, or about 133 of those workers have returned to work, and we wish all those currently self-isolating at home a full and speedy recovery. From the very beginning of this crisis, I would tell you that the TTC has been in daily contact with Toronto Public Health, led by Dr. Davila, for essential guidance and the most up-to-date information and scientific data available. This has helped us steer us on our key objectives through this, what I call as a stubborn pandemic, and those being putting safety of our customers and employees first, providing essential and demand-based service to support the economic recovery of the city and the province, ensuring critical assets and infrastructure are available to provide safe and reliable service, and finally, while we continue our planning for a new normal now and post-pandemic. You know, as we reported to you previously, in January of this year, the TTC became one of the first systems in North America, if not the first system, to significantly boost its cleaning and disinfecting of our public spaces and touch points. And since then, we've enhanced those efforts. As you're well aware, we're cleaning our vehicles multiple times daily, and we're providing hand sanitizer in all subway stations. Additionally, we continue to work with the city's Poverty Reduction Office, and we've distributed nearly 1 million non-medical masks to our riders and across neighborhood improvement areas. And this week, you'll see new vending machines in several key locations that will offer PPE items like masks, wipes, and gloves at reasonable prices for customers who may need these items during their journeys through the TTC. You know, in response to the continued increase in COVID-19 cases, earlier this month, we had the COVID Alert app installed in all TTC-issued cell phones. The more people who use this app, the more effective we'll be in controlling the spread of the coronavirus. The safety of our workforce and our customers, as I always say, is paramount to everything that we do. And next month, recognizing that, our acting Chief Safety Officer, Betty Surgeon, will be giving a presentation on our safety strategies moving into 2021. Commissioners, you'll recall that last June's board meeting, you unanimously received a staff report dealing with the streetcar and track noise at the intersection of King and Sumac Streets in the distillery districts. The report outlined ongoing initiatives to address a noise and vibration concerns expressed by neighborhoods and residents. I can tell you this is an issue that I'm very familiar with and one that's been seeking a remedy for a bit now, and we have a variety of measures. Over the past few years, staff and crews from streetcar infrastructure and vehicle engineering have been working diligently on a number of mitigation initiatives to reduce track and wheel noise to the greatest extent possible. I'm pleased to advise that we have some success through measures like rail grinding, increased lubrication from the streetcars, and testing custom-fitted noise dampening rings that go on the streetcars' wheels. The good news is that the noise dampening rings are on schedule for delivery in early 2021. We have funding to install these dampening rings on 60 streetcars in 2021, with a priority of providing these vehicles on the 504A King route, the route that serves the distillery district. We also of equipping our additional 51 streetcars with the onboard lubrication system, bringing the total number of streetcars equipped with lubrication systems to 153, or 75% of the fleet. We just finished that up recently. You know, Commissioners, last month, in the CEO's commentary, I mentioned that the ongoing work to develop options for service on our Line 3 Scarborough, and I had hoped to have that report before you today. I'd let you know this is a significant piece of work that our staff need a bit more time to complete so that you'll have all the information on this matter when you consider it. So I do apologize for that delay, but I do commit to bringing this report as well as the business case to the board, back to the board shortly. Now, finally, I'm actually very excited to be on the speakers list with several of my women colleagues to talk about the opportunity for women to become TTC operators at the TTC. On November 24th, TTC Talent Management is hosting a virtual information session focusing on women interested in the role of operator and a career advancement at the TTC. And for more information on this, I'm pleased to introduce you to Marika Frazier, who is the Manager of Outreach and Diversity in the Talent Management Department. And Marika, I'm going to turn it over to you to give a short presentation on the your initiative on the outreach that'll be coming up on the 24th. So over to you, Marika.
Thank you, Rick. Very excited about this event. It's something that's giving everybody something to look forward to as a result of trying to endure what's going on with COVID and all the challenges we're facing. So this is awesome. As Rick said, it will be on November 24th from 1 to 3, totally virtual. It took a village to pull this thing off. So I want to thank a few specific people, namely in talent management. One of the managers spearheading this event with me is Masa Rechvani. Her team includes a number of individuals, but there's one in particular I want to point out. Her name is Alina Kornakia. Her, along with Darlene Moraine and Sarah Curry, have been instrumental in kind of moving this event forward. And I can't say enough about the assistance we're getting from our corporate communications and our marketing and customer experience teams. Special mention to Millie Burnell and Derek Stryland for just kind of moving our communications campaign forward. I'll give you the big bang at the very end in terms of the numbers, because it's not 9:45, it's kind of exploded when you look at this slide. But the event is really an event to support our efforts in creating a more diverse workforce. And we want to attract women to this transit operator role. It's unfortunately very severely underrepresented by women. Very specifically, 16% of our staff in that job are females. The event will give us an opportunity to refresh the employer branding and begin a new narrative as we move into 2021, basically putting it out there that the TTC is an employer that is embracing diversity. The attendees to this event will become a pipeline for diverse applicants who will be coming to the event to learn about the job, learn the ins and outs of the position, kind of removing any of the mystery around this role, because our employees do make it look very easy. We'll have a number of speakers. Rick will start things off with some opening remarks, but we'll have female employees many of whom started as transit operators themselves, many who are currently transit operators. They'll speak about the job, how they managed work-life balance, the career progression, some of the benefits of the position and the role, and how fulfilling it is to work with the community. In order to kind of branch out and widen our net, so to speak, to attract a lot of folks to this position that may not have been aware of the position before, we did engage quite a few community partners as well. So we engaged over 100 community partners, and that's what the remaining slides are going to show in detail. But there are a few I wanted to highlight. Specifically, we engaged Access Employment, VPI, the 519, and many of the City of Toronto agencies, specifically the CABR unit, the CABR unit, White Youth Employment Program unit, the Indigenous Affairs Office. We also engaged Toronto Community Housing, Misway Beacon, that's just to name a few. Like I said, some of the upcoming slide, it's going to show you a full listing that is continually growing as the days go on, because more and more people are hearing about it. they're sharing it with their networks as well. So that's what I'm speaking about in terms of the broad communication and all of the success that's come as a result of the communication plan that we put out. In terms of what we're trying to do to engage community partners, we not only emailed community partners directly, we did use some traditional methods as well. So there was traditional print media, Toronto Sun. We had a couple of features there. And when I say a couple, we had one earlier in the month, and there was another one over the weekend. Community papers, Toronto Community Housing specifically did post it on their message boards in the residences, in the residence locations. Digital communication channels, so LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. And we utilized existing TTC channels as well. So public video systems, websites, and formal internal staff utilizing their networks and sharing the message with their networks. The number, again, like I said, that you have on that first slide, it's low because as of this morning, 1,972 folks have registered to this event. We are going to be capturing data, so we'll find out specifically where they heard about the event, how they became engaged in the event. We'll capture diversity data as well to see who we attracted to the event and to measure the effects of our outreach as well. And again, I said I'm very excited just because we're tapping into a group of people in the city and the GTA area who may not have been aware that this position even existed or will be existing, because we don't have the posting up now, but it will be coming up in the future. So this is getting those folks all job ready. Last year, just to make a quick mention, we did host a event, our inaugural event actually, our Trades Expo. It was a 2-day event, tremendously successful. We were able to attract 4,400 job seekers to that event. And as a result, we created a talent pipeline that led to 146 diverse new hires. So we're kind of hoping to see similar success here with this event. And as again, you're seeing a listing of all of the organizations that we reached out to. Some communicated with us that they have received our reach out, some didn't, but we happen to know that a lot of their clients, job seekers, are tapping into this event and registering. So looking forward to it, looking forward to seeing all of you there, and because it is open to the public, and we are capturing registrants through Eventbrite, but they can access that site through the TTC website as well. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Marika. That was fabulous. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited. Having started my career as an operator as well, I really like getting out with the frontline employees and having these discussing these opportunities. You know, I do want to just stress out why that we have this forum geared towards increasing women in the workforce. It really is for anyone that can register. And now we're approaching 2,000 registrants, which is fabulous. So I would ask everybody to please spread the word and don't miss it. Finally, you know, as you're aware, our current master agreement with Presto expires as early as November 2027. And while it is true that at that point the TTC may choose to enter into its own direction or contract with another provider, I want to let everybody know we are working very well with Presto under the governance that was approved by this board in September. And we are working collaboratively with Presto to reset the timelines for the deliverables under that master agreement. And we will be presenting a report back early next year that outlines the Presto deliverables as well as where we are with the fare collection update, all that in the new year. So I just wanted to pass that along. And Vice Chair, that concludes my opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll open it up to any questions. I don't think we had any. Oh, yes, we do. There we go. Commissioner Carroll, Councillor Carroll.
Yes, thanks. It recently, Presto was directly in the media about the update on their open pay and where that's at. And I'm wondering if while we're experiencing good relations right now with Presto, improved relations, I might add, I'm wondering if there is any contemplation of at least putting out a request for interest to see if if we could come up with something that the operation of it was more affordable, given that we have a much larger scope than the other systems using Presto. Is it possible to put out a request for interest to see if we can have something that is more affordable and yet compatible with the rest of the regional system and provide that open pay?
Through you, Madam Chair. I'll take this initially, and I'll ask Kathleen to chime in following. So part of the discussion that we're having with Preston now is just that, right? And they know that their contract with the existing contractor is up in 2022, and they're going to put an RFI out and then an RFP out in the spring, all right, to look at just that. And my focus has been the customer perspective of how they can interact and engage and what's the best for the customer. But at the same time, it's the back office costing, all right, that I'm interested in. We know that we budget $50 million a year to Presto, right, as a cost for the existing contract. But some of the contractors and some of the transit systems out there are getting real good percentages right now. So we're gonna focus on that. And Presto has agreed to focus. The president of Metrolinx and I have had this discussion, and that is a focus of theirs as well, to get a system that we can get our costs down a bit, as well as be more functional for our customers. Now, you had mentioned the open payment. It is correct, because I've had discussions with them as well about the time frame of UPX in 2021, and then scaling it of the 905 into 2022, followed by the TTC. So we're gonna continue those discussions, and that's our intent as the outline for you in the new year, where we are with those discussions, and really get a solid timeline in place.
Okay, so we'll get a report back on that in the first half of 2021?
Yes, that's correct. To be the first quarter.
Okay, so that's reasonable. That's great. My only other one, I think we're not asking questions about the KPI because of the unique situation we're in with the pandemic. But I'm wondering if you wanted to elaborate in any way on any strategy that you might have around the recent predictions that we're going to go back we're into the second wave now, but we're going to get to possibly even more stringent lockdowns. Is there any facility for, if we have to take any extraordinary actions, you would report back to the board, or would that just be done as a facility of being in a state of an emergency?
Through you, Madam Chair, I think the latter is correct. I will continue on a monthly basis, letting you know where we stand when it comes to ridership and the initiatives that we've put in place. We're always thinking about what we could do, standing in close contract with all of our peers in the industry throughout North America, so we're all in lockstep on those type of positions. We do know that, as we've been reporting out, that we're holding fairly strong. Bus ridership is in that 49% continual, 50% range. So I'm very pleased with even what's happening, the messaging that we have done throughout this year about the safety of public transit, and what Dr. Davila, when she comments openly about public transit being safe, with people are getting that message and they're staying with us. So we also, streetcar and subway, we dropped down at 0.2, I think 3 points at one point, but I still think we're holding strong there, and people are staying with us. So I'll continue to make sure we message on a monthly basis to the board. And if anything ever came up in between, we would always provide a note to you, as you know.
Okay, super. Thank you.
Thank Councillor Lai.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I just have a couple of quick questions on, first of all, thank you for the recruiting session, virtual session on November 24th. And I actually have put it out in my e-blast in the last week, and I hope I can get some women. For the workforce, I've heard that, Marika, you mentioned that we have 16% of workforce are women in TTC, or just operator, or the whole TTC?
It's the whole TTC, but the operator, obviously, they account for the largest numbers of positions in the organization. So it makes sense that that's where we're kind of focusing or targeting our efforts. At least launch.
How many TTC operators do we have, other than, in the workforce?
That's a good question. It's a little over, I want to say a little over 6,000. We also, when we did the trades event, that accounted for about 80% of our positions as well. So the trades event, semi-skilled and skilled trades, was the focus of the event we did in 2019. And keeping in mind that that's predominantly the bulk of our position. So a lot of shift work, skilled trades, semi-skilled trades, and the transit operators position specifically, non-traditional for a lot of females to participate. Challenges being just the nature of the marketplace. A lot of women just aren't drawn into it. For our transit operator and some of the skilled trades and semi-skilled trades positions, you're looking at shift work. And still stereotypically, a lot of women, unfortunately, are the primary caregivers. Not always, but stereotypically predominantly, right? So it poses some challenges. So we thought this kind of event would give us an opportunity to speak about how women that are doing the role and did the role, how did they overcome those challenges? How did they find those balances and make things work for themselves? And sharing their stories and hopefully shedding some light on what other women can do to inspire them and encourage them to come along and come on board.
Yeah, I really like your title of Manager of Outreach and Diversity. I mean, we need to throw some diversity in all the things that we do to reflect the demographics of the city of Toronto. I've seen your engagement to community partners. One of them, a South Asian Women's Center. And does this position operator, do they have to be proficient in English, like for a TTC operator?
It helps, but I mean, it helps mainly because of the training. So the training is delivered in English, right? But being multilingual is clearly a benefit to the role because we're trying to represent the diversity of the city we're serving.
Yes.
So that's why we've reached out and tapped into some community partners where predominantly English may be a second language. But at the end of the day, as long as they have a functioning level of English to be able to get through the training, the individuals that get hired on, it'll be beneficial to have another language.
Yeah, I'm just wondering.
I would be horrible at the job because I only have the one. So, but those that have more than one language will definitely thrive in the role.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether you consider doing maybe some advertisement in the Chinese community, you know, in the Chinese newspaper or something. Oh, you have? Okay.
We have, yeah. So we did community papers in the Chinese, Korean, and I know a number of South Asian communities as well. So yeah, we've made it broad. It's broad and far-reaching.
I'm happy you're anticipating to my needs. So I mean, I'm always ranting on council, whatever, you know, it has to be, you know, different languages and all that. So just my last question on this subject is that if they are going to be attending this virtual session, do we have any job opening now at the transit operator? I mean, what is the, you know, do we have any job opening on that, just so that they won't be disappointed or whatever?
Well, nothing right now. That's why we're calling it an information session.
Okay.
As opposed to a hiring event. But it is going to give people the information they need to become job ready. So Masa, whose name I've mentioned earlier, her team is responsible for recruiting transit operators. She'll speak about the recruitment process, things you'll need to know to help prepare you for the role if you are interested in applying for it. What we'll do, because we're having the registrant provide their emails, we'll be able to reach out to them when the job does get posted and kind of lure them in and encourage them to apply when the position's there. One of the things I noticed in the past when I did Outreach Live is a lot of women that I did reach out to and encourage to think about this job, either A, didn't have the G license, which is a basic minimum requirement, or maybe they didn't have the grade 12 education. That is another basic minimum requirement. So this is an opportunity to say, you know what, you don't have to go back to high school, but you can get the equivalent. Or maybe you already have the equivalent. What will that look like? We'll have a community partner specifically from Access come, and she'll present some information as to how all of these community partners can assist in helping people get job ready. So when the position comes up, they'll be able to apply for the job and be successful, as opposed to apply for the job and wonder, why didn't I get an opportunity here? So it will help them move forward in their job search in a positive way, as opposed to just hitting it as a roadblock.
Thank you so much. Keep up with the good work. Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Marika. That was a great presentation and answer to the questions. I don't have any more questions, so I think we can move on. Oh, I see a question. Commissioner Lalonde, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chair. I had a quick question on the cleanliness KPIs. I think cleanliness is particularly important right now during the pandemic because I suspect people may well correlate cleanliness with safety in a number of instances. And I've noticed that we seem to do very well on bus and subway in terms of meeting our cleanliness targets, but we seem to struggle on streetcar. My question is, why is that? Do we take a different approach to cleaning streetcars than we do to cleaning subways and buses? And is there a way that we can improve that that capability?
Rich Wong, would you take that through you, Chair?
Yep. Through the chair, we don't take a different approach for any of the modes there. The reason for the streetcars is primarily a workforce issue. We are exploring alternatives to the cleaning in this area. We have an RFP out to the street to look at second sourcing this function. The cleanliness nod also takes into account the exterior of the vehicle. So in the last couple of periods, we had the upgrades to the wash rack happening too. So there was a bit of issues on the exterior of the wash. They also comment on the carbon stains at the top of the roof on the streetcars. That's also factored into the cleanliness score. We have changed the way we do that. We have personnel now hand washing the top of the roof there, and we also are piloting a 3M material for that roof part, so that when the carbon does build up, it's not so hard to scrub off.
Okay, thank you.
Chair Robinson, you had a question?
Hey, sorry, I'm still adjusting to this. Thank you, Vice Chair. So it's just a quick question to Rick. It's a yes or no answer, Rick. So you've talked about in your presentation improvements with Presto and the relationship. Would you say that's a result of the good work of our Vice Chair, Durantis?
Through you, Madam Chair, that's absolutely correct. The answer is yes, Chair.
Okay, so I just want her to be recognized for the work she did. Good answer, Rick, by the way. Well done. But I just want the Vice Chair to be recognized for the work she did on this file. It was very impressive. It moved us forward months, if not years. And I think it's very important that she's recognized for that impressive work. Thank you very much for that. And Marika and team, I just want to say the event sounds amazing. Congratulations, and we're all looking forward to it and the results of that initiative.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I didn't realize you were going to be embarrassing me in public there, Chair Robinson. The staff need an awful lot of credit for where it landed. Do we have any other questions or comment?
Madam
Yes,
Speaker,
Commissioner Karen.
I've already asked questions, but I wonder if I can ask a follow-up, because this is sort of germane to discussions we've had elsewhere. I just heard Mr. Wong, like I read the Streetcar Cleanliness Kpi, and it was mostly about problems with the barrier film, the exterior wash, the issues that are not just the chart, but later on in the text, where it talks about why we're slightly below the 90%, which is our key performance indicator. But what I heard him say was that to improve the statistic, we're now looking at contracting out the interior cleaning of the streetcars. And that's kind of a big move. I don't recall the board ever saying, let's change the way we clean the insides of our fleet. So I'm wondering where the direction to actually put out an RFI came from.
So through the chair, we're looking at efficiencies, all different efficiencies in the organization. So the RFI is to go out for pricing to see if there are some efficiencies there. We've also seen that because we have a workforce issue on the inside, this will supplement the cleaning on the interior of the fleet.
So you've put out a request for interest, and if you find out that it's worth us looking at the economic argument, does that mean that you would be coming to the board and asking us to decide whether or not we want to change that mode of service. We would make the strategic decision and then you would put out an RFP?
Yeah, we have.
Rich, if I could?
Yep.
If I could, through you, Madam Chair, the intention here is like we're doing with many of these initiatives, looking at putting business cases together, following talking with the industry about where we can get efficiencies and effectiveness and savings to take place, where we look at options. And that's what this initiative is. Like we at McNichol, as you have heard, is looking where there are options to save money. We'd never do anything just because we can. We do it because there's a cost savings involved with it. And that's what our intent would be coming back following the RFI, which would make the decision where we'd put together an RFP and put the RFP out. And any award of a contract would go back to the board.
Right. Hold on. So all that would come to the board would be a contract award? We wouldn't make the policy decision first?
That's correct, because it would be the same service level.
With all due respect, Mr. CEO, in the past, those were policy decisions. I'll take, for example, the cleaning of stations. That was a policy decision, and the board deliberated over it for a couple of years and came to the decision that they were going to change that delivery. The outcome is the outcome. I live with it. I'm fine with it. But we made it as a policy decision and then went out to award a contract. I think what I just heard you say is everything's going to happen. All we're going to get is here's the award with the tender process already being done. Is that what you're saying?
So what I would say to you, Commissioner, is when we maintain the same service level or the standard which has been approved by the board, all right, that the looking at the options of providing the service is where we're looking at externally to provide options for efficiencies.
So this would be treated as a budget item, not a policy or delivery mode item that a board makes a policy decision on.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I
correct.
hear you correctly. I hope my earlier motion comes sooner rather than later.
Okay, thank you. I think that's the end of our speakers and we're at the end of the report. I don't see anyone else looking to ask a question. So I'm going to move a motion to receive the CEO's report. May I have a seconder, please? Commissioner Bradford, thank you. All in favor, raise your hands. Thank you. We're going to move now to item 2. Mazin Aribi, you've been very patient waiting for us to call on you, Mazin. So please let me hand it over to you to provide your report.
Thank you very much, De Laurentiis. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to actually first show how happy I am to see Chair Robinson and hear her voice. It's been a while, and we at ACAT wish you a speedy recovery to come back to the board ASAP, safe and sound. And I also would like to take this opportunity to welcome aboard the new Councillor Cynthia Lai. Welcome aboard. So here's, I will read briefly the highlights of the approved ACAT September minutes. It was a very busy month for ACAT members. Members discussed station descriptions, a review of the TTC Public Forum, and the COVID-19 Wave 2 campaign. We also received a presentation regarding new subway train features and design. We raised several design issues and explored potential solutions with TTC staff. Members also received a presentation regarding third-party elevator policy that states the first entrance connection from a third-party development to the station will be deemed as a primary and must be accessible. Secondary, convenient connections that are not accessible are permitted only when a primary entrance connection has already been provided by a third party. The new policy includes description of unacceptable and non-applicable entrance connections, also direct and indirect connections. There will be an entrance connection guide made available as a tool for developers and a technical review to ensure compliance with policy and accessibility requirements. Numerous questions were posed by service planning members, and staff added that discussions will be held in the near future with the subcommittee on further refinements to the policy. Members also discussed streetcar operations procedures during COVID-19. When the state of emergency was announced by the city, complaints ensued and various issues arose regarding operators deploying ramps. Standard operation procedures were not being followed due to the fear of COVID-19 virus. However, the original standard have since been put back in place. Our next ACAT virtual meeting will be Thursday, November 26, 1 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. via Webex. As always, we encourage commissioners and councillors to attend when possible to learn more about the work that ACAT does. And finally, I would like also to take the opportunity to thank all TTC employees who is being working diligently during these unprecedented times to ensure that we are moving and we are safe. Thank you. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chair Aribi. I don't have any comments or questions from anyone, but I want to encourage all of you to plug into those meetings. They really are great. So look forward to that next meeting. So I'm going to move a motion now, put a motion on the table to receive the ACAT minutes. May I have a seconder, please? Commissioner Lai, Councillor Lai, thank you. All in favor? Excellent. Okay. We're going to move now down to item 3, and we don't have, this is an item reporting out of our in camera, and no questions or comments. So I'm going to, will we have a speaker? Sorry, the chair? Okay. Chair Robinson, sorry, I missed you there. Please go ahead.
Sorry, just what item are we on? Item 3?
Item 3, yes, we're going to adopt the staff recommendation that we considered in camera.
Okay, so there's no questions, we're just going to speakers, or there's no speakers?
We're going, yeah, there are no questions. We haven't received it, and no one signed up for questions, so we can go to speakers. Did you want to make some comments on that?
Yeah, I'll just be very brief in saying that we've got 176 grievances, 27 of which are group or policy grievances. And I think we just have to remind ourselves that we're in unprecedented financial times. We have unprecedented financial challenges with COVID hanging over our heads. And so this is, the TTC is incurring significant costs associated with each and every one of these grievances. And the ones that I worry about the most are ones related to safety. For instance, mandatory bus barriers, I think, are such a critical thing to keep passengers and operators safe. And that's important, that we keep our crew safe as well as our residents and our riders. So, you know, I think we do have to really focus on this and give it a second sober thought, and how we can come up with a strategy to address it. Because if what I would do is encourage residents and just people generally to read through this report. And I understand not all of it is public, some of it is private, but it does give you a sense of some of the challenges we're facing, and the costs associated with facilitating these grievances is very substantial. It's going up by the millions for this next year. So I just think it's important to work together, to show compromise and flexibility. We're in uncharted waters and uncharted territory, and I look forward to some improvements on this file. In that the union works with us while we deal with an international crisis, because some of the grievances are related to COVID, and some of them not. But I do encourage people to read this report thoroughly, not the board, because the board already has, but the general public, because I think it's insightful and telling. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't see any further comments, so I'm going to move a motion to adopt the report. May I have a seconder, please? Commissioner Carroll, thank you. All in favor? Oh, is that a question? No. Okay, all in favor? Excellent. Okay, I think we can move to item 8. Right? Okay, we're on item 8. It was held. Commissioner Carroll, I think you held it?
Yeah, I held that, Madam Chair. I've had time to read it in the interim, so I can release that one.
Okay, thank you. So
I'm good with it, yeah.
Do you want to put a motion to adopt? Since you've got,
sure.
Excellent.
Staff recommendations.
And seconder? Commissioner Lai, all in favor? Excellent. Okay, we're on to item 10, which was also held. Who held it? Commissioner Carroll, that was yours too.
Thanks, Madam Speaker. My only question is I was wondering if the CFO would like to give us a quick update, because it looks as if the report was made before the recent provincial budget announcement, and there is some change there. We have tables before us that precede that. So I'm wondering if she'd like to give us a quick update so that we go into our budget process knowing exactly what the gap is.
So through the chair, thank you, Commissioner, for that question. So what this report does is it highlights the change from September when we last provided you with the recovery update. And since that point in time, at the end of September, we were in around the kind of stage 3, and then we finally moved into the modified stage 2. What this report highlights for you is that since that period, we're actually down, our pressure is actually up by another 19.7 overall million dollars, but that's primarily driven by a revenue decrease, about $46 million that we've projected to year end. Essentially, in September, we had projected the balance of the year hovering around an average of 45% of revenue ridership. Since we have moved into the modified stage 2, that's now looking like somewhere in the 32 to 33%. We continue to monitor that actually daily through our COVID dashboard. And I can say to you that as late as last Friday, we're seeing our revenue ridership hovering in that 34 to 35% range overall, and revenue in around the 33% range. So on a daily basis, we've still stuck there. Of course, whatever happens as of the decisions made for us today, we continue to look at that. As it relates to 2021, we continuously are revisiting our assumptions for the 21 fiscal year, both on the Wheel-Trans and on the conventional side. At the moment, what we are anticipating here in our forecast for 21 is that the experience for the last part of this year will play itself out into the first quarter of 2021, and then we see marginal increases of about 5% in each of the 3 following quarters. So that is our current forecast, and that's the basis on which our budget is being built on. But as you can imagine, we've been revisiting it for the last 3 weeks, almost on a weekly basis, and then reassessing what that means for 2021.
Okay, so we had that longer range forecast for 2021, but to your points about the ridership, we thought we were getting better and better, and there was heat on us about the crowding on the streetcar, but we see this morning that locally our medical officer of health and the mayor are they seem to be mentally preparing us for the fact that we may see a retail shutdown, which will affect ridership. I would think a huge amount of retail workforce or transit riders, and so we may have to make some changes there. My question around this is we may have to make that adjustment, and that will help us with some in-year cutting of expenses. However, what is our ask of the province right now? Or do we have a clear ask that asks them to fill the gap left in 2020? Or are we looking at something that along with the city, we are making a very clear ask about what we need to make us whole in 2021? We strategically haven't had that conversation, and we all will run into in virtual town halls and such MPs, MPPs. Is there a set ask to help us with our ridership gap?
So through the chair, in the announcement that was made previously, there were different funding programs established by the province, one specifically for transit. And so there are, much like there was a municipal component, I think there was a public health component, a shelter component, and a transit component, each with their own set amounts and each with 2 phases. So our phase 1 allocation of funding, it was $404 million, and that's to take us from April 1st to September 30th.
And we have that in hand now? They have forwarded that?
The funds have been forwarded to the city.
Okay.
And we had to submit our substantiation of that value on Friday. In fact, that was just done. It does not cover any costs for March. Yeah, for March.
Okay.
And we don't know the eligibility requirements for the phase 2, but the phase 2 at the moment ends, and it goes from October 2020 to March 31st, 2021. So of course, the ask, I would say in general, from all municipalities would be that there'd be recognition of the ongoing costs beyond March 31st, 2021.
So you need the criteria to know the phase 2, and you need the phase 2 to be longer.
We all do, yes, thank you.
Okay, got you. Thank you. Thanks for that, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We have one more question. Councillor McKelvey. Oh, you're on mute.
Of course. Okay, there we go. Almost a rookie mistake there. Thank you, Madam Chair. The amount of money that we are requesting right now for phase 2, have we quantified that? I get that it's a moving target, but as of right now, what would that ask be if you were to put it in tomorrow?
So through the chair, we don't quantify the ask. We're waiting for the eligibility. Clearly, if we have a forecast to year end, which you have seen through this document, it shows that incrementally at the moment that after we consider certain types of direct costs, because the eligibility criteria, at least for phase 1, was that we had to identify our pressures less any direct savings as associated with associated with COVID. So that has to be taken into account. Phase 2, all we do know is that there are other conditions set with that particular funding, which includes some policy items like our involvement with service and fare integration, for example, as being one. But at a minimum, what we would want to see is at least the balance of this forecast, which is roughly about 200 million being covered for this year. But that's just for the balance of this year. And then we would have to look at the first quarter of 2021. So, which is roughly, assuming all things being equal, roughly in the same order of magnitude. But I can't stress enough that our, issues will continue well beyond March 31st. And as we set the budget, we'll know those numbers more clearly.
Okay, understood. And I'm comforted that you said 200 million because I calculated 198, and I wanted to make sure I was reading the table properly. So that is comforting. The requirements that they're putting forward in terms of service and micro transit and looking into that, how much has been communicated to you for that? Recognizing that, the chances that you can get any of that done before the end of this year is virtually impossible. So how are you factoring in those requirements? Have you started to look into them?
So through the chair, there are discussions that are taking place. The TTC with our partners as well as with the city. We will need to understand really what is that venue or forum for describing, because it's not really a template-driven condition to meet, much like the financials. But we have not received any clarity. My sense is that the provincial staff have been focused on receiving the phase 1 submissions first, and they haven't really turned their minds, and we have not heard yet of any of the reporting requirements associated with phase 2.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there are no more questions or comments. So, Councillor McKelvey, can I ask you to just move that motion to receive the report?
So moved.
Seconder, please. Councillor Osborne, thank you, or Commissioner Osborne, all in favor? Very good. That's let's move to item 12, and Councillor Carroll, you had held this one.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess it's a question for the CEO before moving this. Just to rewind the clock for my question, we did move a motion about reinstating the budget committee because there's so much that's going to change about our multi-year financial situation, so much that might even have to change about our capital plan vis-a-vis the provincial capital plan might change. And so there are a number of moving parts here. And so we moved a motion, I moved a motion about having a budget committee, but Madam Vice Chair, you referred it to the CEO. So I guess my question is for the CEO. You never did actually report back. You were going to report back to us on how you felt about that. And we had a phone conversation, but you have not actually reported back to the board about reinstating a budget committee. What is before us is that the budget working group meet. My concern about that as a working group is not a public meeting. And so in terms of advancing the knowledge for the community, for the public, for the rider about our circumstances and how things need to work, a working group doesn't necessarily cover it. So is the intention to report back to us after this budget process on the future of budget committees later on? Will we get that requested report at some point?
So through the chair, I'll answer that question, Commissioner Carroll. So we were quite frankly grappling with the answer or the ability to report back on this for this year. As you know, as you heard in my last set of comments, that we have continued to refine our budget, and we've had multiple reporting requirements, and we're dealing with the situation. I think the other issue here was that, well, the benefits of having a public budget committee is one in which you could have more than one meeting to give the opportunity of the public to provide input. And quite frankly, we've just been really challenged for time frame that would enable that to happen in a way that gave the public that opportunity this year. As we just learned, last week, that the launch date publicly is January 14th. So it really didn't provide that. But I do believe that there are opportunities moving forward to have a more fulsome engagement with the public, and that we can better build and plan for one in a year where things aren't so crazy.
Right.
So yes, I will report back.
So if I
Yes.
can go back to my question, today we're talking about a working group for 2021, and now the timing is so tight and everything's so unpredictable. I get that. I'm planning on supporting this motion. My question is the report on having a budget committee going to come to us at some point in 2021? Is it still clear that we're waiting for a report back about that?
So
or is your answer just now the report?
No, so through the chair, I maybe you didn't hear the very last comment I made was yes.
I'm not clear on it. Yeah.
Yes, I plan to report back post budget approval, sort of in Q1.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about what's the best process that we can actually lay out a game plan for upfront.
Okay.
So next year.
Okay. Thank you. Those are my questions, Madam Chair. I'd like to be put down to speak.
Further questions from anyone? Not seeing. Okay, so we move to speakers. Commissioner Carroll, go ahead. Councillor
Thanks,
Carroll.
Madam Speaker. I am going to support this this motion from the chair, and but I ask those questions because I don't want to lose sight of the fact that we are still doing a budget working group, which is, you know, can be a non-clerked process, can be a private process, has loose guidelines around it, and I get the reason for that. Back when I moved the motion about maybe we should reinstate the budget committee, we were looking at, you know, maybe the second wave isn't as big as it is, and maybe we're through this sooner than we are. And now it's quite clear it's going on and on. We may be looking at another extreme lockdown, which means further economic impact. So I get not doing it now, but I asked my questions. I would just remind the board members, I asked my question about reporting back about having a budget committee, because I firmly believe that the economic impacts of this pandemic are very multi-year, multi-year, huge impacts, unemployment, etc. And so we may find ourselves struggling to grow our ridership back. We may find ourselves struggling to even keep our capital program going because our other funding partners will be in extreme amounts of debt. And so I really believe that if we're going to craft a long-term budget strategy, if we're going to try and keep some of our vision on track and make the adjustments as we go along, we need to bring the public with us. And so that's why I took the extra step. We're adopting this today, but a reminder to our staff, our TTC staff, that we expect a report back from them on whether or not they think that in future years we should return to the process of having public budget subcommittee meetings so that the community has that ability to make deputations. Otherwise, they will at the 11th hour be spending hours and hours at our board meetings with one opportunity to have any impact on the future of our budgeting and visioning for the system as we find ourselves going through what could be as much as a decade of recovery. So those are my comments, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. Chair Robinson, over to you.
Thank you very much. I'll be very brief. I asked for this because in recent weeks I've been able to chat with the CEO and the CFO about the circumstances. This is going to be a very tough year, and as Councillor Carroll alludes to, this is not the end. This is just the beginning. So the other thing for our citizen members to understand is Striking Committee literally just met on the 13th of November to identify the schedule, the budget schedule. And we have to work closely to interface and align with the city's budget. So it's very late, and understandably so, because everybody's under incredible pressure at City Hall trying to deal with COVID. And so this is a chance for the entire board to really have input to this unprecedented impact that the pandemic is having. And so it's very important we have this special public meeting and that I think it's probably unfortunately going to end up late December. But as soon as we get the information out, if you can mark your calendars, you know, it's really in light of the unprecedented financial and logistical challenges as well that are really posed by this pandemic. So I hope that the TTC can get the information out as soon as possible to the public so that we have significant civic engagement on these issues, because the public needs to weigh in. And I think this is an ideal way to approach it. Secondly, it's my understanding, I was under the impression that the working group had 3 members, but it was clarified this morning that in fact it usually only had 2 members. So I can strike down my other recommendation on adding someone, unless somebody's very keen to join that group. And if somebody is, then let's put your name forward now. But my understanding, it was originally 2, not 3. So it's really up to the board if somebody's keen to add their name, put their name forward. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Robinson. I think I see Councillor Carroll's hand up. You wanted to speak?
Madam Speaker, there's been my staff have been trying to follow up on this since the beginning of this term of office. When this term of office began, a motion came to the board saying let's have a budget working group, and there was room for 2 members, myself not included. I put up my hand and said that I would very much like to be a member of that group, because I tend to have a lot of questions about a budget, and I didn't want to frustrate the proceedings at the board. And on the spot, what the chair said was, which is probably why she thought it was 3, what the chair says, I see no reason why we can't have 3 members, and made me a member on the spot. The following month, it was reported in the minutes without my name there. And I've been arguing, my staff have been arguing about this ever since. The reason, I think we've demonstrated this year why you put 3 members on that working group. One of the members disappeared, which puts it down to 2. And then if one of those is not feeling well, you're down to 1. Because there is movement within boards. I think for safety's sake, you want your budget working group to have 3 members, and it takes 2 to have a meeting. That's just so that there would always be at least 2 people to listen to what staff have to say.
Okay.
Through the chair, just confirming, in February of 2019, Commissioner Carroll, you were affirmed to sit on the budget working group. So that is minuted. Yep.
Yes, with Councillor Bradford and Councillor Karagiannis. And as has happened, often we've had meetings where the deputations that might be made there, because we allowed the public to come and depute once, and once where we had a briefing, there were only the 2 of us to listen. I think that's, you want 2 people to listen when staff are making a presentation of that length.
Just to clarify, the working group is not a public meeting. It's a working group. The majority of the members on the working group are staff with support from commissioners, with the full budget coming forward to the board for approval.
So to confirm, it is a working group of 3 commissioners.
It's an informal review committee or working group that we could accommodate 3 members, again, as the chair mentioned, if there is a will for someone to step forward.
I think I saw Commissioner Lalonde's hand go up. I don't know if you have a comment or a question that might help us in this discussion.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm certainly not volunteering to be that 3rd member, but the question I had was a procedural one. I'm totally confused as to what the City of Toronto Act allows with respect to meetings. That, like, if you call yourself a working group, then you can meet privately without anyone from the public being in attendance. And as soon as you call yourself a committee, then you're required to have public meetings. So, like, I've been told consistently as chair of the audit committee that I'm not allowed to conduct an in-camera meeting with the external auditor, just the external auditor, which is common practice in every audit committee I've ever seen anywhere in the world. And I'm told I can't do that because of the City of Toronto Act. Are you telling me that if I decided to strike an audit working group, I could have such a meeting?
Through the chair, just to clarify again, the budget working group does not have decision-making authority, so they're just speaking to the budget. The difference is with the Audit and Risk Management Committee that the committee does have decision-making authority. So it's an informal working group comprised mainly of staff that are just discussing the budget, not making any formal decisions on it. The formal decisions come forward to the board for approval.
I'd be quite happy to strike an audit working group that made no decisions at all. They just listened to the external auditor. Like, this is a difference without a distinction as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
So
I table that issue for future consideration.
We'll ask the clerk then to look into this for us and report back to you as chair of the audit committee. Is that?
That would be great. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Let's do that. Okay, anything further on this then? We have the motion before us. So are we striking item 2, Chair Robinson, or are we on that recommendation, or are we, I'm not sure where this leaves us.
So I was advised just this morning, I wrote that motion last Friday or Thursday, I can't remember, but end of last week. And then this morning I was advised that originally this committee, this working group, I should clarify, had only 2 members. And then Councillor Carroll asked to be added, which was accommodated. But this morning it was clarified. I'm not sure that we have a willing volunteer. I know everybody's incredibly busy, particularly now. So if there's a willing volunteer to step forward at this time, then I would pursue that. But otherwise we can defer this to the next meeting. The second part, not the first.
Right, okay.
The working group piece.
Okay, so perhaps we don't put anybody on the spot right now, and why doesn't everybody think about it? And if you're interested, let the clerk know, and then, so we'll strike item 2. So our motion then is just item 1 with Chair Robinson moving and me seconding. So all in favor? Okay, I think we're done. So that takes us to adjournment. And Chair Robinson, I'm going to hand it all back to you.
Well, thank you very much. You did a great job. So I appreciate it. And from the bottom of my heart, Joanne, you've just really been incredible. So thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. And thank you to our great team. Thank you to our riders. Please come back. The TTC Transit is one of the safest places you can be on. I was on there this morning. Everybody was wearing their masks, so we're in good shape. So, and we'll see you at the next meeting. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.